Welcome back. It's time to take a look at child education. There has been a lot of talks around revamping Nigeria's education sector. But in the midst of all of these talks, there are a few schools that say they can hold their heads high when it comes to the type of services they render in the society. And one of such schools is the Brooke House School, which encourages an eclectic curriculum that ensures the accommodation of children's individual learning preferences. We have in the studio this morning the CEO, Brooke House School, Mrs. Ifweko Omomi. Good to have you here.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Good. Okay.
What is your general assessment? We've heard a lot about falling standards in education, but there seems to have been a concerted effort to work on it.
That's right.
And improve upon it.
That's right.
You are in the sector. Tell us, where exactly do we stand right now? Assess the education sector for us.
We're just waking up. I would say that we were comatose, but now we're waking up. But we have not gotten up yet. We're awake.
Well, we're just stirring.
We're just stirring and like waiting to get up the bed, you know, so to speak. So we're getting there. I mean, we've started. There's a lot of advocacy going on, and the government is beginning to look in the right direction. Primary education, where the foundation is, early years education, teacher quality. So those are the two things, two areas that had a problem, you know, and we're missing in terms of attention and support. Now the government sees that it's important for us to lay a solid foundation that is in early years. And of course, without the teacher, the curriculum is completely useless. So
it had seemed that we had quite forgotten that the primary school is actually the most important
absolutely
level.
I agree with you.
That is where you learn your ABC, you learn to spell, you learn to add and divide and multiply. Is government doing enough at this point?
Not enough. Not at all.
To understand the importance of that level of education?
My views, not enough. Because you can tell from the qualification of teachers that are taking in at the primary level. In the past it was teacher grade 2, but we know what the quality of teacher grade 2 was in the 70s. Yeah. You know, teacher grade 2 in the 70s, if you ask me, is equivalent to masters now in terms of quality. But over the years, it had been watered down, and so you had people who couldn't get in to do other degrees, coming in to do education, and people who couldn't even pass to get into the universities, picking the colleges of education, and this was what was happening. But things are beginning to turn around. There's a review of the NCE program, the minimum qualification to get in to teach in the primary schools as the NCE has been reviewed, and gradually people are beginning to attach value to teaching as it ought to be. You know, so that's where Brooke House comes in, because for us we are trying to restore, you know, the dignity of teaching in terms of the kind of teachers that we employ. You know, we don't just go there and say, okay, you've got to have education qualification. Yes, you've got to have education qualification. It goes beyond that. You've got to teach from the heart. You've got to be concerned and passionate about, you know, infusing knowledge in children. And so that's what's happening. And we have chosen early years because, like you said, that's where it matters. You have this problem with WAEC. I keep saying it over and over again. You can't begin to address the problem from secondary school, because they start to read from nursery school. They start to read from early years. And so when you are having problems with math, problems with English, the solution should start from the foundation. You should take it from the foundation, because you are not more than the foundation that you build. You build a foundation for a bungalow and you want to build a skyscraper. You know what that
that would be a problem.
That would be a problem, yeah.
She's talked about if the government is doing enough.
Not enough.
What about the parents? Are we doing enough in terms of our children's education?
If you ask me, what would the parents do? You look for the best place for your children and you put the children there.
Sometimes the parents help with homework.
Well, you see, that is the problem. You see, the vicious cycle. That's a problem of values. That's a problem, that's a gap that Brooke House has come to feel, as far as I'm concerned, because values have been thrown out of the window. So you have children going to school not understanding what responsibility means, not understanding what accountability means, not understanding integrity, because you've thrown them out. Someone asks me, why don't you teach them at home? I say, well, yes, you can teach them at home, but you see, children spend, how many hours do they spend at home with their parents? Maybe in the mornings when daddy and mommy are getting ready to go to work, they leave home at 6 and they go out. And then the driver goes to drop the child in school. So they spend close to about 8 hours in the school environment, in a learning center of some sort. And then they get back home from school, there's a nanny waiting for them. And then their parents coming very late, maybe they're sleeping. So it's better for us to handle these things at school. Values have to be brought back into the classrooms. Moral and ethical values, godly values, have to be returned into the classrooms. If you have that happening, I tell you, you would have parents not teaching the children or doing the work for the children. The children would tell the parents, don't do it for me. Because they have learned that they're not supposed to do it. So they take responsibility for their actions. You know, so that's what's missing.
It's not parents doing their homework with them, guiding them through doing their homework.
You see, guiding the children.
Because sometimes kids ask questions. I don't understand this question. What does this mean? What does that mean? So the parent is not actually doing the homework for the child. Is she?
You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised.
Because am I going to write my son's homework?
Oh, we're so impatient. It's happening. I have been in education for over 20 years. It's happening. Children get home. They're supposed to do their homework themselves. And the parents are, well, don't trouble me. Just bring it. Ngozi, help him do it. And the child just relaxes. You have that happening. A child's pencil drops on the floor. Help me pick it up. All that comes from everything being done for the child by the house help. Your uniform is pressed by someone else, arranged by someone else, socks sought by someone else, underpants sought by someone else, breakfast made by someone else, your room is tidied by someone else. That's what I'm talking about. So when it comes to homework, why should it be different? So that's what's happening.
So education is not even
Nigeria
just
has
about,
changed.
It's not just
yes, it
about, school learning is not about academics alone. You've just mentioned, something that is just, clicking in my head and saying, if a child can't make his own bed, especially if you're of age, and you can't
clean his own room,
you can't clean your room.
So
you can't do his own homework.
You can't do your homework. You can't pick up a piece of paper.
Let's talk about how we can remedy all of this. Thank God you said we are awake.
But we haven't reason for
We're just staring.
We're staring, but we're not in coma, thank God.
No.
So we thank God for that. So how do we start to remedy all of this?
It's a combination of the teachers, the schools, the parents, and the government. The curriculum. What are we teaching our children? What do we have in our curriculum? What's important to us? It's beyond physics, chemistry, biology, math, English. It's beyond all of that.
Okay.
It should be laced
you mentioned
with skills,
a combination of
skills.
teachers, school, government, parents. Okay, for the teachers.
For the teachers, well, you teach with passion. You teach beyond the head. You teach the heart. You present the heart to the children. So the children, you make them do what they're supposed to do and model the right kind of behavior for the children. Because children are watching. They spend most of their day with the teacher in school. And then they get back home and it's the nanny or the driver all the way home. And then when they get home, it's the nanny. So there's got to be modeling. Teacher, model to the child the right kind of behavior. Model responsibility. Model accountability. That's what we encourage at Brooke House.
Okay, and the school?
Brooke House. We're located